So, you have a photo here. The photo of a small temple under restoration. You have the word Nike, no? Right, Nike. The Greek word is Nike. We don't pronounce I, we pronounce E, no? So Nike is the victory. Huh? The Greek word for victory is Nike. Her temple was built right at the entrance of the cult area. Victory's temple, no? Athena was worshipped as a victory, but her statue was found and was wingless. No wings, huh? Probably they were afraid that she might fly away, so they wanted her in the city. But round the temple, all the figures that were found, now in the museum, depicted winged victories. You know that a lot of Greek statues are all over the world, no?
See?
In Louvre, in British Museum, the victories have wings. Is what the angel is for the Christians. The angel that comes down with the heaven, the same victory, no? So Victory's temple, a small ionic marble temple, stood on a tower, no? Why the tower? This Acropolis has temples of the 5th century BC, 2,500 years ago, that were built after the wars against the Persians. The Persians from Iran came through Asia Minor, Turkey now, conquered some Greek islands, and at Marathon they were defeated. That's why they raised, no? An Athenian soldier came running to announce the victory. The Persians came in Athens later, burned, destroyed, and they were defeated at Salamis. Battles, no? That were held in the old days. Known battles for the historians. After all these battles, these temples were built to honor the goddess who helped them to win, no? But they were built on previous ruins of previous temples. Small, no? Right here, we have a tower, you saw coming up, that was in the very old days a bastion, a tower, to control the entrance to the Acropolis. That was an area where people could feel safe, no, in case of war. Imagine the warriors now, they hold their, all in those days, swords, on that, and the shield covered that part of the body, no? So if the enemy wanted to go up there and conquer the center, this part was undefended, no?
Right.
That's why the tower, all the ancient cities in Greece have towers at that side. And as the tower was there, the spot was limited and they built a small temple. Okay, so Athena, Nike, victory. Marble with victories in the museum. We go up. We pass from columns and part of the roof under restoration, the main entrance. Just an entrance. But a lot of small buildings combined a monumental entrance. It was difficult for the architects 2,500 years ago to level the ground and build small buildings and have a result, an harmonious result. So these rooms were rooms where people used to sit as they could come from Piraeus, from Sunion. They could sit and relax. I don't know the word in English. This lounge in marble, where they could sit and see paintings. It was a place where they could relax and offer idols. And then the Parthenon to honor the goddess, and the other temple of the girls, of the Caryatids. Two other big temples, a monumental entrance, and that temple. The Acropolis remained a cult area from the 5th BC till the 5th AD. It was transformed in a fortress with churches, occupied by the Franks, by the Catalans, by the Venetians, and Turks. We'll talk about this later.
Oh, gee, look at this. Wow.
In the middle, all the pieces of power. The biggest string. They're stuck the pieces and stack them together. With a hole in the middle.
You can see the boards that are parts, no?
Marble
This
ceiling.
small caisson, this small stones
Wow,
that
look
are
at them.
small.
See those pieces, the marble pieces? Huh? It says don't touch. Because it probably wear out after all the people. Oh my gosh, look at this. Woo. Of course not. Wow. They're trying to restore a lot of it, aren't they, Tasha?
Let's stop for a minute and look at people coming out. Take a look at the model, the photo of the model that we have in the museum. I want to wait, huh? The Parthenon is that temple there. And there are spots where we don't have scaffolding and you can take your pictures. Yeah. Entrance, the palace of the knights was there. Stories. Throughout the years, travelers, known travelers, left drawings and information. And we have a lot of drawings of the late 14th and 15th Byzantine Renaissance period in Vatican, in Paris. So the models that are made are based on the information of those travelers. And much later, 16th, 17th, 18th, it was a la mode, no? A lot of intellectuals supported expeditions in Greece, Turkey, Egypt for the culture. So we have information. As these areas suffered a lot from wars, imagine gunpowder in the temples, explosions, thunderbolts, fires. So what we have now, and they are trying to put back the pieces, is the result of these adventures, no? So the entrance, see how complicated is that model? You have one small room here, a bigger one there. I mean, terraces, no? And it was built in 5 years by known architects. We know their names because we have in our museums lists of names. The writing of that time is the same. I had classical studies. A kid, 8 years old, can understand, no? Because it's the same. More than 50% of the words are the same. So this is the Doric order, no? Simple, masculine, Doric. The Parthenon was built in Doric, and the other temple of the girls in Ionic, as the small temple of Athena. Two other orders here: Ionic, feminine, Doric, strict. The Corinthian was used much later, and you see it never. Marble. For the first time, all these buildings were made of marble. That Canchale mountain, not that marble. They were skilled in building in marble. Huh? They could transport the stones. Every drum of a column, no? Weighs 4 stones here, 6 on the Parthenon. So imagine wooden sledges, and oxen carrying that marble at the entrance of a ramp. They had ramps. Pulleys were used to transport the marble, and cranes. I don't know if you saw some stones. I won't keep you too long, 2 minutes. The stones that were lifted up there were not worked before. They had, how can I call, edges. Like, they had to transport them with ropes, no? And then they used to cut that and sculpt it. At the entrance, and you'll see that at the exit, we have walls that have all these. Okay, because this building remained unfinished. A war started, Athenians, Spartans, and allies, and the building remained unfinished. And so we can see how the stones were lifted up. The Parthenon is a temple that doesn't have a single straight line. All the columns are going inwards. We'll see that getting closer. And if we extend them, they'll form a pyramid. They did that probably to correct our optical illusion and create a secret harmony. If the columns would be straight, you would see that, as we have a lot of columns, no? No straight line, no vertical line, no horizontal curves. The whole temple and it was discovered by a British architect 160 years ago, has refinements, no? It's not as simple as it's written here, the city becomes the capital. So, for some years, we were under the Ottoman Turks and they sold the statues. The frieze that is in the British Museum, a very famous frieze that is 140 meters long and has figures, stood on the corridor of the inside part, no? So, getting closer, you can see the replica, the Parthanon of the 11th century, having on the inside carpet figures in color. So, institutions of democracy. There was the president. So, if you want, you can follow me around, and on your own, you'll get there, and down to, I'll show you. It's up to you if you want to follow me, all right, if not,
There's 700 and something symbols around. Where's Natasha? Yeah, it's kind of slippery in it.
Here, stand right there, Stephen.
Wow, look at that.
Put that down.
Put that down. Get me in there.
Yeah, hold on.
Hello. Hey, kitty. Hello, Patikin. Come here. Oh, you're cute. What a face. What a face.
We have so many of them.
Yeah. Tatikin up here, the Greek god. Wow, look at this one. Wow. Those columns are original, huh? Don't pick up the rock.
Here comes the rain.
Don't pick up the rock. This side ain't so hot because they're redoing it. Look at the columns, how they're redoing them. I guess that is good to redo it. It kind of a way, it's a shame, but they're going to get it put back together, aren't they, Tasha? Hey, Tasha, they're going to put the roof back on? This is going to be amazing to keep track of this over the years. Because look how they're filling in the spots in these columns. They really do a good job at the...
in Prague, a lot of nice shops. You have, I saw someone holding a leaflet, yeah, recommended stores. I don't know the recommended stores because every agency has other recommended stores. But you'll find them on your own. The streets are known, Mitropolios, Adrianou, Pandrosio. We bargain, people bargain in Greece, but not as in Turkey. Turks have a very different approach and mentality. They are merchants, and we are not. No? I mean, they start, offer you tea, put the carpet down, close the doors, and you are tempted to buy, and they make good discount. No, we are not like that. No? But of course, you can have a discount. And now that we are off season, and winter is coming, and it will be difficult. Because our country is in the European Union, no? But the deficit is very high, no? And we say that we already bankrupt, huh? So prices will be lower.
Ask for money from us.
Be careful, huh? It's safe, you pay with your cards, but see what you sign, no? Sometimes...
Tasha. This is whatever street, I don't know what it's called. No thank you. I don't need an umbrella. Stupid ass. Whoa, those are like nice magnets. Man, it's Tchotchke Avenue. What is this down here? Oh my God, it's a bunch of tchotchkes. Street tchotchkes. The further down you go, the more you can bargain. Hey, look at this little square. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, it goes forever. Look, flea market, Tasha.
Oh.
Maybe, where is the flea market? Are we going to remember? We'll remember.
Well, remember, we got to come down this where it says yes, all artwork.
Tchotchkes and more tchotchkes. What the hell's all that? Where's Tasha? You want to get a t-shirt? Look at that one. Hey, hey. Is that Kitty's? How much?
But it doesn't have anything about...
It's not. That's because it's a fashion thing. Look at that store.
You want to go over there? You ready?
Yeah. Goodness. Oh yeah. Hey.
He brought us 2 honors. I said, no, just 1. So make sure on our bill there's only 1.
Oh.
Oh, she's right.
Who makes 1,200?
Bus driver and the tour guide.
This is in Turkey. Let me see your hands. So, okay, those of you who visited Ephesus, remember, it was a complete city. You most probably started at the upper gate. So the first half an hour would be the part that you'll be spending in the holy royal part of the town, or in the Acropolis section, full of temples. And then the bigger part of your time, at least 1 hour or more, you will have spent in the downtown area, in the residential part. Houses, shops, library, marketplaces. In Parthenon, we have only the Acropolis. So the residential part is still being inhabited by my people. The Turkish name of the place is Bergama, and we still have there about as many people living in the town as there were living in the Roman times. So that's the reason why you end up having only the Acropolis as the open air museum Pergamon. So what we're going to see will be the holy royal part of the town, the temples, the rulers' residences, their palaces, and the houses and the whole rest, the bigger part of the city is still a city inhabited by the Turks. 80,000 people, more or less, still live there. Until about the 4th century BC, Pergamon was just another town in Anatolia. By the way, Anatolia.
I got this red bridge.
Well, I'm sure you have seen the country Turkey several times on maps, so try to remember. It has a rectangular shape. The envelopes that you have there, you might have again maps showing you the country. Important because it's one of the last stops on the way to the bigger harbors of the ancient world as well. So many caravans, imagine, merchants, with their products, goods that they want to sell or that they might have bought on the way to or back, will be making stops in that town. So they will also be buying and selling in the town itself, turning this town into a busy commercial center. But in the 4th century BC, something important happens. Alexander the Great, you all know him. Not personally, of course. Looks a lot like Brad Pitt. Was it Angelina Jolie, the mother? Yeah. He came along, conquering many different cities and towns, including Pergamon. But then he died. At the age of 33, he's said to have died, so he didn't have much time to enjoy what he has taken from so many others. I'm talking more about the treasury. Imagine how many kings and queens he has fought and taken all of them, the treasuries. So he had an interesting collection. They talk about 9,000 talents of gold and silver. Talent at that time would be a measure of weight, corresponding to somewhere between 24 to 33 kilograms. So almost 50-60 pounds. So taking the lower limit, just 24 kilograms times 9,000, you end up getting over 200 tons of gold and silver. That's a lot of money. If you would turn it into euro or dollar, American, Canadian, whatever, you would have so many zeros on the right side that it would be hard to most of us to imagine what you could do with all this money. One of the most interesting and popular examples used in Turkey is what they say about this money. It would be enough to buy you all of Izmir. Imagine 3 millions live in Izmir. With this money you could buy all of the town. So much money. And in Izmir, well, 3 millions, assuming that the Turkish family will have on average about 5 members. 2,700 years
The richest
ago,
guy in the world in the 6th century BC lived near here.
In this part of the world.
Doesn't look like it now.
The Lydian people invented money, gold coins. They were using in the 7th century BC already. Until then, and even for centuries after that, many people will only have barter trade, exchange of goods and products, services, no money. So since at least 2,700 years now we have money, or have to have. Paper money is something quite recent, even more so the credit cards, but coins are quite ancient, 2,700 years. 6th century BC, the king of the Lydian people built the temple of Artemis in Ephesus. So he was the richest man in the whole world. What was his name? Does anybody remember? Richest man on earth. So,
Rockefeller.
Midas would be the richest man on earth during his own time.
Al Gore.
But he was a few centuries before the Lydians' invention of money. So he had a lot of gold, but no coins yet. No money yet. Midas. He was also from Anatolia, by the way. And where he was living, where he lived and died, is quite close to our new capital, Ankara, about 45-50 miles away from Ankara. And we found a tomb. Yes, now you've got him.
What's his name?
Bill Gates, from 6th century BC.
No, he's not that old.
Used to say in English and in many other European languages like French or German or Spanish.
He's serious.
Richest Croesus. When someone is really rich, you say that. Richest Croesus. Saying that, you might not know who he was and when he lived and why or how he was the richest man on earth. But nevertheless, it's important to see that after so many years, 2,600 years, people still remember that he was the richest.
What's his name?
Croesus. The last king of the Lydians, because at that time there were only 2 superpowers in the whole world, the Lydians in today's Anatolia more or less, and the Persians further to the east and southeast. Just the 2 superpowers I'm talking about. And the biggest river of today's Turkey, in Cappadocia, in central Anatolia, Halis at the time the name, was their common border. Croesus later on attacked the Persians and lost the war and lost everything but his life. So that's why he is the last Lydian king. But the leaders, I mean, the Persians did not kill them all. Most of them were enslaved, the ones fighting directly against the Persian army. But the rest of the people were just assimilated. After the Persians, lots of Greeks arrived here. It was a passage for many people doing business, all sorts of directions. So this is a place where people have been mixing with each other since thousands of years. Not only Turkey or Anatolia, but the surrounding countries. You go to Iran, you go to Greece, you come to Turkey, and you find out that all those different peoples look similar. Let's say take 100 Iranians, 100 Turks and 100 Greeks, as long as they keep their mouth shut, and if you give them the same clothes more or less, you will not be able to tell who is who. Because it's the same mixture more or less, but the soul being different, the culture, the mentality, the way of life, the way they think and believe, of course religion and language, they also make differences, but the body, the face, skin color, eyes, hair, that is quite similar. Or another example, we have had 36 sultans in the last 700 years, the Ottoman imperial times, until the foundation of the Republic. 36 sultans. 2 only are said to have had Turkish mothers. 34 out of 36 were born to non-Turkish women. So how much Turkish will be left in the last reigning sultan?
That's interesting.
2 out of 36. Or another example, about 130,000 Turks seem to have arrived in Anatolia about 1,000 years ago. Now we have 75 millions. So out of 130,000 we made 75 millions. That's the dilution, just to imagine. But again, the customs, traditions have survived, the language, although it has taken a lot of words from many different languages. So the majority of the people living here still feel themselves as Turks. But real Turks coming from Far East, they feel strange when they come to Turkey, because those Turks do not look like them. To see what a real Turk looks like, you need to leave Turkey through the eastern border and go towards China. The closer you come to China, the more authentic and more Turkish they will look. Because we are related to the Japanese, to the Mongolian, and to the Koreans.
Really?
The language as well. A Japanese person coming to Istanbul needs only 1 month to start to communicate with us in Turkish. 3 months, he almost becomes perfect, or she. It's so easy to learn for them, the language, I mean, because it's quite similar, the same grammar, and about 2,000 words that we still have in common after so many thousands of years separation. And of course we do not look like the Japanese people anymore, so therefore it would be maybe difficult for you to believe in it, but it's the truth. You go, for example, to the next Turkish country outside Turkey, Azerbaijan, the eyes grow slightly smaller, almond-shaped eyes. Go further to the east, you come to countries like Turkmenistan, like Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. Those are all countries where Turkish people live. And the further to the east you go, the smaller the eyes grow. In Mongolia, you have lots of Turks. In China, you have them. It would be difficult for us to see who is of Turkish origin and who is a normal Chinese. Whatever it would be a normal Chinese, I don't know. But there are lots of them still in the Far East. So the Turks have their origin in the East, Far East. But the ones living in Turkey are the most mixed or least authentic Turks, let's say. Those who have been to Ephesus might remember there were some watch sellers, small shops, where they had advertisements for their watch saying genuine fake watches. Genuine fake Turks in Turkey. Mixed with all sorts of different people living around this part of the world or passing through here. We still go on mixing. I mean, some of the tourists who come to Turkey just for a vacation stay here forever. getting married to some native people, or take them back home. And well, this time I don't know. Maybe the Turkish person will become something else for the next generations in a different country. But the mixture still goes on. Anyway, let's turn back to Lysimakos. So he builds the town Ephesus, but the town that he got, I mean Ephesus, it had already lost its harbor. It was full of alluvium, so he had to build a new harbor a bit further away, and he wanted to have the center of the town around his new harbor, so he had to attract the people to the new town. So the ones who visited Ephesus last year, or maybe earlier than that, you have seen the city of Lysimakos, the new Ephesus. The older two towns would be a bit further to the north, which are not excavated yet, so we don't have anything to see from the earlier towns. While he's building the city, including the city walls, he wants to have a safe place where he can keep the treasury of Alexander the Great, because you know, the other generals, they also want to have at least some share, but he doesn't want to give anything to anybody, so he has to be able to defend it against all sorts of others, and he needs a safe place. The safest place in all of his share was the interior of the Acropolis of Pergamon. You will understand it better why when we get there. The thickness of the walls, especially on the less steep parts, is amazing. Thinking that this is the 4th century BC, about as thick as our busts. Now think of the heaviest weapon of these days when they would like to attack a city, to conquer it. They would have catapults, we call it, throwing stones. The biggest ones would be about as big as a human hand. If the walls are that thick, those stones will not do any serious harm. You could tell the right, statistically speaking.
87% of hazelnuts.
87% of all the hazelnuts of the world are being produced in that same part of Turkey by the same people. They have a lot of cornfields. Almost all of what we consume in Turkey comes from that part. And almost all of our jokes, we tell them about those people. The famous people in Turkey seem to be living in that same part. And believe me, even today you will see a lot of blonde people or red-haired ones there with blue or green eyes. So those Galatians, they did not disappear, they just went on mixing with the rest. The rest would be Greek, Armenian, Georgian, and the latest element added to the mixture would be Turkish. And you have seen the movie Asterix and Obelix, maybe you even read the comics. Then you see that they all have hawk's noses, the ghouls. Asterix and Obelix. You didn't see it?
No.
You saw it. Okay. You remember the names of the actors who played Asterix, who played Obelix? Obelix was the more famous one. The French actor with the big nose, Gérard Depardieu, exactly, that's him who played Obelix. He has a big nose anyway, but even that big nose of him needed some addition to make a real guy out of him, because the guys were known to have big blonde or red-haired people with blue eyes and big hooked noses. And now one more thing, the living man on earth with the biggest nose is in that part of Turkey, to the Black Sea region.
Jimmy Durante?
Is in the Guinness Book of World Records. So you write, next time you are in the internet, you can write in Google, for example,
That's nice.
biggest nose living man, you'll find him. 8.6 centimeters. That would be more than 5 inches. This is the nose that the guy has got.
Jimmy Durante.
Chuck. And ever since he was discovered, he doesn't have to work anymore. Making fortunes on his website, and the internet. He's got a website now. Ads.
You're kidding.
And when he was discovered, well, apart from the nose, he was just a normal, ordinary Turkish man. Now he's got a large mustache under the nose, that can keep up with the size of the nose. And he said about it that one needs to underline important things. So the gulls are still there. I mean, the ones who were living in Anatolia nowadays. And also, statistically speaking, again, most of the plastic surgeries, nose surgeries, are still being made in that part of Turkey. Especially the ladies are not so happy about the big noses that they have, so they want to have them smaller. But not only them. So that's where they ended. And after this big victory, not even the Romans were believing in a victory. So they did not dare start a war against them. Parthanon II, he makes it. And he also has a victory at the end. The temple of Zeus, well, better, it's just an altar actually, that he built after that, what is now in Germany, in Berlin. They built especially for this separate museum. Think of the 7 world wonders. Until the 4th century, they had different lists circulating. In the 4th century BC, they finally settled on the 7 that we still know. But every now and then, people would offer to include the altar of Zeus in Pergamon also in that list of 7. Right? It was such a big monument of such a beauty. And on one side, on the main side, on the front side of this temple, you have a group of reliefs showing us the war between the Titans and the gods. The gods being the side of the good, and the others being the evil. The evil here is symbolically the Gauls, the Galatians, against whom they fought. In that case, of course, the gods, the good side, these are the pagan people, and most probably the face of Zeus on that altar was the face of Humanus himself. So he wanted to show his victory in a different light. It would be controlled regularly that every household would have enough water for them in case of an attack. Several weeks they would be able to live on that. They had, apart from that, also bigger public cisterns.
And what's there?
The houses were, in that case, independent.
I see it good with our polarized glasses. Maybe put the polarized glasses over.
So, how they built those water pipes, bringing the water from a distance of almost 40 kilometers, is still a mystery to us, because on top of the hill where they were living, there is no water source. So you have to bring it from elsewhere. And the nearest source where you have enough water, and the other thing again, you know, the Asclepian
see the whole rainbow here.
Seems to have worked
faint, but I can
sort
see
of a
it.
medical center where people were being treated.
Yeah. Let's go to the end of that thing.
The healing water, the source that supplies the whole facility with the healing water, that still gives some water. So for those who might like to try, you can taste this water. It's drinkable water. It is a theatre, not an amphitheatre, right? So this is a theatre, not an amphitheatre. But this is the steepest
in the world.
Among the Greek theatres of the whole world, there is nothing very steep. You will see it when you get there. So that's the picture of the theatre. But you see here, at the back of the tickets, you have a barcode. Can you see it all there? Arrows showing you. And at the entrance there will be turnstiles. So to get through, you will take the ticket in your hands so that the barcode will be on top. And please, on the right side of the turnstile, on your right side, you will have the slot to put the ticket into. So then, the barcode on top, in the direction of the arrows, you push the ticket into the slot. When all of it is inside, almost, you'll get a stamp on it, cancelling the ticket. The screen will change from red to yellow on the turnstile, and the human voice recorded will say, "Please pass," in Turkish and English. So then, you need to take back the cancelled ticket, and with the cancelled ticket, poisoned, most probably bitten by a snake or scorpion or whatever else poisonous. and one can see his death written in his eyes. For him it's already too late. At least that's what it seems like to the people at the entrance. So when he wants to get in as well, they say to him, no, that has no entry, you, that man walking, no more. For somebody who will be refused at the gate, this is in general like a death sentence. I mean, if you're not taken, then most probably you're going to die. This guy is suffering heavily, maybe more mental than physically, but the fear of a painful death that might last long is so big that he wants to die faster, so he wants to commit suicide. And seeing some snakes around the healing center drinking milk out of some pots, most probably the priests, some of them were feeding the snakes. I don't know whether you know it. Some snakes, not all of them maybe, but some do like a lot milk. Cow's milk, they drink. Anyway, so this guy now, seeing the snakes, he wants them to bite him, that he will die faster, that he won't have to suffer too much. He goes to them, but the snakes are afraid of him, so before he can reach any of them, they are away, disappear. So then he says to himself, maybe if I drink the milk out of which they were drinking, some poison might be left in their milk. That also might help. So drinking the milk instead of dying faster, he recovers. This is the first time that they start using after this event poison against poison in small amounts. People seeing him a few days later in much better conditions ask him how come, what happened, what he did special maybe, and nothing other than drinking the milk. So he's taken now in because he is already safe now. One can see that he will not die. And after some conversation with him, the doctors inside tried that on other people who are poisoned. Small amounts of poison against poison, and they see that it works. So this is what I mean, experimentation. After that they start experimenting with other things as well, as medicine. Until then it was rather conservative. But tobacco in Turkey started
I get a little bit nauseous.
looking for alternatives to tobacco, and cotton is a very good alternative if you have the will for it.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Right on the freaking edge. Oh shit.
You know maybe what okra is?
Oh my
Yes.
God. Gosh.
One of the few places where people like to
Yes.
eat that
Oh my
plant
God,
is
oh
this
my
place
God.
because they have a lot of them
Oh my God.
in
Oh
the
my
summer.
God. Oh my God.
Many fields will have okra on them. Okra, as you know, is something that not everybody will like.
Oh.
It takes a lot of time to get used to it. It's an acquired taste, but those who are used to it, they love it. It's an interesting plant. It's an
delicious.
interesting vegetable. And people living here, they grow up with it, so they love it. But somebody who comes from a different place where they don't eat okra, I guess at least the first time that they'll try, they will maybe not like the taste. Feels a bit spongy. Yeah.
It's delicious.
Okra. The French, they like it too. The reddish building to the left side, you see the ruins, I mean, the big one. You will see it again on the way down here, on the way back. It was a temple built in the Roman times, all out of baked clay, bricks, but marble coated. Outside and inside on the walls, they would have marble plates, on the floor marble, so it would look rather white in the ancient times. The marble falling off the walls, it left the walls naked, so that you see the material inside, the bricks, the white bricks. All in front of you,
Oh my God.
to the left side, you might have seen some remains from the old water supply system, looking like remains of old bridges, but they were actually just used to overbridge smaller and, well, the different valleys in between the Acropolis Hill and the other hills. In front of you to the left side there are some few, somewhere you will see that were up on the hill. Go to the left side,
Oh
you
my
see
God.
where you have the last houses on the left
beautiful,
side, perpendicular to the bus, you have
Here's
some
just
more of
pop.
those remains. So on top of those remains of those, you would have the water supply system, the water pipes running
Take a
around.
picture of that.
Give me your shoulder pain.
Alright, so in order to bring the persons into the Tapara river in Turkish Bakırçay, the river Caicos, and that river used to pass underneath the reddish temple, the brick temple, which was built by Egyptians and dedicated to the Egyptian goddess Isis. In most of the bigger Roman cities, you had a big group of Egyptian merchants, so it's normal to find some temples dedicated to the Egyptian gods and goddesses. And also synagogues, because some of those Egyptian merchants would be Jewish. So many of the bigger Roman cities would have also synagogues. There we are. Please, Yavaş.
Face it.
Oh yeah. The
You almost hit the
It
cat.
escaped this time, but don't worry, we'll take care of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. He almost hit the kitty. Listen, I'd rather
now,
kill the
ahead of
kitty
us,
than kill us.
Just behind the Turkish flag, you see the turnstiles.
Whoa.
To the left side, you also see the sign WC. So the steps, down the steps, you have the toilets there. On the right hand side, all the shops offering you books and souvenirs. The blue eyes, you might have seen them also in your envelopes. Well, each envelope should have at least one such tiny blue eye. This is the Turkish talisman.
Bus driver just about backed up over the cliff. Guy wasn't watching.
No, we have more room than it looks.
Yeah, Yeah, more room. I don't want to end up buried in this mess.
Stand right there. Don't. Stand right there.
Stand right here.
Steven, you're at number 8.
Where is he? Oh.
Please come a bit closer to my side. A few steps down. Very soon we'll be inside those walls, but before going in, I want to show you just two things, which are also maybe a little bit important, which are outside the walls. On my left side, on your left side also going up, while going uphill, what you have there to the left side, these are the remains of the so-called heroes. That means tombs of very important people, including the tombs of the kings themselves. Because of lack of inscriptions, it doesn't mean that they never had. It's just that those parts were destroyed or lost, not found. So we do not know which one belongs to who. Surely the 5 kings, the five main kings, belong to us, including maybe also number 6, the first one, the commander Prasagus, they would have had their tomb somewhere here. These are the foundations only, left of those. Important that platform where the altar of Zeus used to stand. Until 1870s, until the arrival of Karl Kummer, the German engineer who was employed here building the railway, he came back later on for the remains of the ancient city. More than anything else, keep on asking for it. Well, nowadays we stopped. We have been promising a model. This is our model. That you could at least see 3-dimensional. That means straight running streets.
Wow, that's really a lot of ruins, isn't it?
Forming this
It's ruins.
island, smooth line. And on them, you will have normally 4 standard-sized houses. If it's a more important monument, then it might occupy half of it, or all of it, or several islands. Say a temple might sometimes take 2, 4, or 8 islands, a bigger space. So that street, starting at the entrance, goes until the other side of the city, until it hits on the walls again, on the other side. And to the right side of it, which is the smaller half of the interior, you have one after the other the remains of the palaces. So everything what you have to your right side, to the right side of the street, that goes on with steps all the way uphill, downhill on the other side. To the right side is all the palaces. 5 palaces plus, you see the antenna on the other side. Around them you have the remains of the 6th monument, and
That's
then
not good.
behind you have the walls already.
No,
The
it's just a
6th
shame
monument
at all.
was most probably the residence of Philotius, the commander. His palace. But right after his death, his nephew built himself a new palace. Somewhere on the right side of the street. So one of those other 5 must have been his palace. He didn't use the palace of his uncle. Instead, he turned it into an arsenal to store inside the weapons and ammunition. Athena to the left side. Now you can see those foundations better. Right? Some marble also has been used, especially the columns and the statues, which are missing now, were made out of marble. But be it the pavement of the streets, be it the walls of the palaces and of the other important monuments, they are all made of the same material, which is the local stone of volcanic origin. It's called andesite, and the color, you see some of them are pinkish, some bluish, some brownish, depending on the amount of the minerals and metals that they contain. The color might be different, right? And they still use that same material, that same stone, to construct in the town. Right? In Bergamo today, they still have a lot of it on the mountain around here. Now, here is an example of a cistern.
Oh yeah.
Imagine now a rope around that stone. You still see the traces of the rope. Something like a bucket on one end, and from the other end you would be able to pull out the water from inside. Right? There were lots of cisterns, bigger ones even than this one, all around the city, here and outside the Acropolis.
How the rock was done different color. Cool.
Dedicated to the other one as a temple where he is going to be worshipped as a god. Let's stay here for a while. You see now, behind and between the trees behind, those tall, white columns, all of white marble, these are the remains of the temple of Trajan, built by Hadrian. The ones who might be of British origin among you will know maybe better. The wall, Hadrian's wall in the United Kingdom. The same Hadrian passed twice through Anatolia, visiting several cities, including Pergamon or Ephesus as well. And this was built most probably during his visit. It might have started, and by the time of the second visit, sure it would have been finished. Dedicated to Trajan. But in the middle of it, another pillar, the remains of a column. And most probably, if you should go there, you will see a lot of coins inside the pool. Whenever we find a pool, the Turks, I don't know, maybe other people do it as well, we use it as a wish pool. We make a wish and throw a coin inside and sort of drive to the ground or to the gods, and hopefully the wish will come true. Here they say you must make it to have your coin land on the pillar in the middle of the pool. That's the reason why I have so many, because it's almost impossible to make it. But every time you go there,
Taco
you
Bell.
sometimes see 1, sometimes 3 or 4 coins on the pillar, all the rest inside.
So Taco Bell got that. Oh.
Look down there. You are standing on hollow surface. So they built on the rocks at the very bottom walls, empty rooms on empty rooms until they reached the necessary height, and they covered it all together to get an artificial space that would be resting on the walls. So here the weight of the temple is transferred directly through those walls to the rocks at the bottom. Right? So here they can afford to have a vertical wall on the outer surface, because that doesn't support the weight of the temple. That's just to cover.
So, what day do we see the Sphinx?
I think it's today. I think today. Kind of eerie coming into Egypt in the dark of the night. Nothing but ghost ships and the ghosts of pharaohs. And it's very quiet. And we're barely moving. Very eerie. Okay, we're in Egypt. To prove it,
Give me my camera? Or I think it's okay right now.
to prove it, there's the Egyptian flag.
Where?
Right on that building. You want me to get your camera out?
Just so I have it.
With you starting from now until we finish our day, our overnight. Tomorrow we're going to be back, let's say around 5:30 maximum 6 o'clock to Alexandria port. We are bus number 4. We have a sign on the front. We do have another sign as well at the back of the bus, and our bus is white in color called Olivia. We are using this bus for the 2 days. So it's totally safe. We can leave our stuff, we can leave our carry-ons on board. The doors are always closed until we finish our visits. We are not going to use our passports for the visits. They might check it when we go for the hotel for the check-in formalities, that's it. But otherwise, we don't need the passport at all for the 2 days. So if you want to leave your bag on the bus, you take your purse and you take your cameras in your hands. Our bus has 2 doors, and as I told you, they open for you at the side. We're going to have whisperers when we go to the museum. So it might take us, let's say, 10-15 minutes in the garden of the museum just to see the whisperers and see how it works, because this is a new system. It's only a couple of months ago, and then we're going to start our tour together inside. So let's know now, this is the Citadel Museum. We carry on to our hotel, check in, lunch, and then I'm going to tell you at what time we will leave in the afternoon to carry on for the sound and light show and for the night cruise. Okay, sounds good? Yes, we are bus number 4 and we are Angels Group. Well, have we seen the map of Egypt before? Yeah, do you know where is Alexandria on the map of Egypt? You know that our river Nile flows the opposite way? Our river Nile flows from the south, and down in the south we have Sudan. And in Sudan, the White Nile and the Blue Nile, they meet together, and we only get one branch. Alexander the Great, he was Macedonian. He came to Egypt mainly to make offerings for one of our great gods in Memphis. And this god was called Amun-Ra. On the way, he found a small island and a village, and he decided to connect them together to create a harbor mainly for trade between Egypt and the rest of the whole world. So, on the way from Memphis, coming to another oasis called Siwa, where we have another temple for Amun-Ra, he gave his orders to his genius architect called Dinocrates to build the city. His dream was to see Alexandria, but actually he didn't see a single building because he died too young. Alexander the Great came to Egypt 300 332 BC, and Alexander died 323 BC. So he only stayed 10 years, and he did not die in Egypt, he died in Babylon. And his wish was to be buried in his city, Alexandria. So they embalmed his body in Babylon, they put it in a pure golden coffin, and the body came in a huge funeral procession. Alexandria was not founded yet, so they put his body in Memphis. They buried the body in Memphis till the city was finished, and then they moved it in the middle of Alexandria. Dinocrates only showed Alexander the Great the plan of Alexandria, and it was divided like a chessboard, and it was divided to 5 main districts. The main thing, straight lines, straight roads, intersecting together, and this is where most people believe that this is where is the Alexander the Great, in the middle of Alexandria. 2 main roads, one from east to west, and the second is from north to south, and they meet in the middle of the city. After the death of Alexander the Great, Alexandria became part of the Greek or the Ptolemaic Empire. We started by King Ptolemy I, and this was 323. And by the way, Alexandria was completed during the time of Ptolemy III, and he was the last strong Ptolemy we had in Egypt. Ptolemy I, Ptolemy II, and Ptolemy III. So the Greeks stayed by the Ptolemies from 323 till 30 BC. 30 BC we had Queen Cleopatra. We have 7 Cleopatras, by the way, but the most popular one, she's Cleopatra VII, and this was 30 BC. From 30 BC we started the Romans. Then we had the Arabs. The Arabs conquered Egypt 641 AD. So Alexandria became the capital of Egypt for almost 1,000 years during the Greeks and the Romans' time. And Alexandria today is our first largest port in Egypt, and it's the main summer resort for all Egyptians. Population, we are talking about 8 million. Summertime it goes up to 12 million. Because of most of the Egyptians, the rich or the high-class people, they have a new area called the Northern Coast. We're going to be passing by part of it, and this is where they have their private beaches, private villas and townhouses and small apartments on the Mediterranean Sea. So June, July, August, these are our summer holidays. Can you see how narrow is the streets? Shops, these are all shops, very, very old area of Alexandria. Shops are closed. They open in Alexandria around 11, and they close between 11 to 12 at night. Most of them, they do work 7 days a week. Private taxis in Alexandria, they are yellow and black, and public buses, they are light green in color, and each bus has a number written on the front for a certain destination. The industrial area, since Alexander the Great was completely planned out of the city, so we will be passing by part of this industrial area, which we call it Alhambra. Most of the people here, the rich people, they work mainly importing and exporting, mainly cars in Alexandria, cars and wood. We import and we export at the same time wood, and the majority, middle class and below, they work mainly for the government. So either we have here government employees or we do have businessmen. Some of the minibuses, they are white in color, and our tradition custom in Egypt, it's the long gowns, which we call it galabaya. Okay? Men, they wear very bright colors. I'm talking about farmers, because we have this costume. The more you go down to the south of Egypt, the more people are strict. So in the south, men are dressed in gowns, dressed in very light colors, because they are working out in the sun all day. Young girls, they still wear very colorful gowns, but when she's married, she has to wear very dark colors, like black, mainly black, brown, navy blue, and gray. But in big cities like Alexandria and Cairo, they wear jeans, they wear dresses, shorts, so you're going to see lots of contradictions, especially in Cairo. You're going to see a carro car, a wooden car pulled by a donkey, and beside it a BMW or a Mercedes. A lady dressed, she's totally covered, even covering all the face except the holes for the eyes, and a lady, she's wearing the tight jeans. So there is no pushing from the government for women to be covered, by the way, and it's a speech from Prophet Muhammad for Muslims, that women, they should cover themselves when they go out in the street. I want you to prepare your cameras to take a quick picture for the Roman theater. This is the first amphitheater we have in Egypt, 3rd century AD. This is the entrance. We are not allowed to park, but we'll do our best for few seconds so you can get the picture. It's on the left side. We can see the remainings of the columns. We can see part of the stage. And can we see?
Way back there.
Can we see this mud brick
The zoom
building
in.
over there? Yeah. This was like for jacuzzi and saunas and massage, and this is where the elite Romans used to meet. They found like cisterns with water pipes under the ground connected to the Nile. And they found two basins, one for hot water and one for cold water. And this is the main theater in front of us now. Well, our weekends, it's Fridays and Saturdays. Friday is the official holiday because of the second prayer for Muslims on Friday, called Jummah prayer. It's like praying in a church on Sunday. So it's a shame to find a Muslim man walking out in the street and he's not attending these prayers on Friday. You know that Muslims, they pray 5 times a day, and you don't have to pray in a mosque, by the way. There is no pushing at all to do anything to pray in a mosque, or you have to say that I'm praying or fasting. It's your relation between you and Allah. So you do it or you don't do it. Nobody will judge you, nobody will punish you. But Friday, it's the only main prayer which everybody goes, and it takes an hour, so it's only an hour every week you go for the prayer. All of them are dressed in white gowns. People in Cairo and Alexandria, all of them the same, and they attend this main prayer. This is Alexandria Stadium for football, coming on the right side. By the way, government employees, they work from 8, they finish 1 o'clock, and they only work 1 shift. So,
42
Judaism,
Jewish families.
Christianity, and Islam, the 3 visited
synagogues in Alexandria.
Sinai, and they have special religious places there. Okay, we said that the Nile flows from the south to the north, so Upper Egypt is where? Is down. Lower Egypt is up. It's vice versa because of the Nile flows from down to up. We have a meeting point between upper and lower, and this meeting point, this is called Memphis. This is where we're going to go tomorrow to see the remainings of the first ancient capital in our history. Memphis dates back 3200 BC. So this is all what we see now, right and left. This is all Mediterranean water. And we are starting the industrial area, by the way. This is mainly for petrol. So we have Petrojet. You're going to see our petroleum complex in a few minutes on both sides. And today we only live on 8% of the whole area of Egypt. The rest is all desert. Eastern desert and Western desert. What we're going to see today on our way, this is, we call it the Western desert. And sometimes Sahara desert. And the area around Alexandria, we call it the Libyan desert. So it's only the Nile in the middle, and this is where most of the Egyptians lives, on the Nile. The Delta, which is our most fertile area. We grow cotton in Middle Egypt, okay? Where we are, Lower Egypt, on the way, what we're going to see, it's mainly veggie and fruits. We grow sugar cane down in the south, especially in Luxor. We have one of the biggest and largest sugar factories in the Middle East down there. We start to see some sea salt beds on our way as well. We have speed limits, by the way, and we are moving in a private convoy. We have 2 toll stations, so we should get a ticket before we start our desert road heading to Cairo. Our buses will slow down on the way for, let's say, 2-3 times. It's something routinely because they check the driving license, not for our buses, but for big trucks on the way. So we have to slow. We are moving in by order, by the way, from bus 1 till bus 7. We are doing the overnight. And by the way, we are all staying at the same hotel. So it's the same program and the same visits. And we are, of course, you know that we are on our same buses till we finish. Tomorrow, the same driver. We might have a new security guard tomorrow. Maybe yes, maybe we don't have one. We will see how it works. Okay? Okay, let's have a look for the industrial area. This is Petrojet now, coming on our left-hand side. And these are all private-owned trucks. This is a small mosque on the right, and by the way, we can recognize any mosque with a dome or a minaret, and there is a crescent or a moon on top. The crescent for Muslims is like the cross for Christians. Why Muslims they have the crescent? Because Muslims they go with a lunar calendar. So not all months for the lunar calendar are 30, of course, between 28 to 30. This is Dasco, and this is the petroleum complex. Now this is the main building on the left. This is also a private compound with private houses and villas on the right side. This is a very expensive part of Alexandria, by the way. Here mainly for assembling cars. And also we have private factories for spinning and weaving around this area. This is a military camp on the left.
Seem a lot, feeling a lot more, you know, boy, talk about paradise. Anytime you can see any other people in the world, they can do just as much as you, so more.
This is another military camp on the left. Or a metal wheel pulled by a donkey, a cow, or a buffalo. They just tie their eyes and they keep them going around and around to bring the water up. The main crop in Egypt is the cotton, and the Egyptian cotton is well known all over the world. And where we are now, this area is very famous with spinning and weaving. Most of the brand names today, like Polo, Gap, and Guess, many others, they are all manufactured in Egypt under license numbers. So the Egyptian cotton is the main crop we have. The second is the rice, the wheat, and then the sugar cane. We're going to see on the right, of course they are randomly built, as we say, and they are unfinished. Why unfinished? To delay property taxes. So they are living inside the houses. They do have electricity and water, but they will never paint them from outside to delay paying the taxes for the government. rich farmers, so he's planning to prepare a special apartment for one of his sons on the roof. The average number of a family in a countryside, we say minimum 5. This is a very small family. And it goes up sometimes to 10, 12, maybe 15. And they all live in one building. The average age for girls getting married in the countryside, we call them girls because they start from 14 years. The maximum is 18, she must be married. Men, this starts from 18, 19, maximum 21, 22. They are married. And of course, all marriages in the countrysides, they are all arranged. Maybe from the same family, maybe they are their neighbors, because as you see, they are living in special private-owned buildings, and